Hi guys, Adam Tanner here from Fitness for Life 365. Just making a quick follow-up video on my UFC 200. The thing is now that Ariel Helwani is saying that it's nearly finalized that Conor Mcgregor will fight Nate Diaz at UFC 200 for the rematch. Well, I think that's great news. However, despite the fact that the biggest Conor McGregor fan, well, I will leave the biggest Conor McGregor fan to someone from Ireland. So let's just say the biggest non-Irish or the biggest Australian Conor McGregor fan. I think he should vacate his title. He shouldn't hold on to the title more than that. He already had a welterweight bout, he lost, and now he's gonna have his second fight in a different weight class, not defending his title. And Frankie Edgar, don't worry about Giselle. Giselle does not deserve a title shot anyway. Frankie Edgar, I mean, this guy was promised a title fight since he beat Cub Swanson 3 years ago. Since then, he'd beaten Uriah Faber. The winner of this match was supposed to get Conor McGregor. He didn't get Conor. Then he fought Chad Mendes. And he also didn't get Conor because Conor chose to fight RDA, which is something I actually did like. But I was hoping that he would beat RDA at 197. Then it changed to 196. But you get the point. Beat RDA, then go ahead and face Frankie Edgar for his featherweight title at UFC 200 and main event 200. Now, all sources are saying that Conor McGregor is fighting Nate Diaz. I don't think it's fair, to be honest, for Conor to headline the event when he's not defending his title. He's just fighting. It's an untitled fight. How could this headline UFC 200? Which most likely I'm pretty sure it will break the records of UFC 100. UFC 100, it was the highest ever pay-per-view buys at 1.6 million. UFC 196 with Conor and Nate and Holly and Miesha Tate, it made 1.5 million. I mean, Conor is bringing in the biggest numbers of all time. Now at UFC 200, they're gonna have a few title fights as well. There is no doubt in my mind that this will be the biggest pay-per-view buys of all time for the UFC. But Conor, if you want to rematch Nate Diaz, that's amazing, but drop your title, give it to Frankie Edgar. Frankie should fight Max Holloway at UFC 200 for the vacant belt. And I don't think Aldo should get the title shot. Although most likely, if Conor did vacate the belt, Aldo will get Frankie Edgar. But I still think Max Holloway, I don't know how Max Holloway is not getting a lot of attention. It doesn't make any sense, as Max Holloway is the only guy to take Conor to decision. And since then, he had 8 UFC fights, 8 wins. 3 of his last fights are guys in the top 10 in the featherweight division. And one of them is a very impressive win over Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson is one of the best in this division. I mean, when you talk about the featherweight division, you got Aldo, McGregor, Mendes, Edgar, and Cub Swanson. And Max Holloway is really being everyone that there is to be. I really think he either deserves, if Conor decides to defend the featherweight at UFC 200, then he should get Aldo. And if that doesn't happen, then it's very unlikely, but he deserves it. He deserves to fight Edgar for the title. if Conor vacate the belt, and I would really, I'm really am the biggest Conor McGregor fan, but if he didn't vacate the belt and had a rematch with Nate Diaz at UFC 200, that will be really, really annoying. I mean, just don't hold on to the belt for that long. So, yeah, Frankie does deserve a shot. Now, when it comes to my prediction, I refuse to give a prediction for the first time Nate and Conor fought each other. And I made it clear why. Because Conor always believes what he says. And what he said that Nate Diaz, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is underrated, which was a shocker. As I mentioned before, Nate Diaz is the second highest submissions in the history of the UFC, with 9 submissions. He's second next to Royce Gracie, who has 12 submissions, and most likely he would pass that. He will probably go down as the highest submissions in UFC history. Well, for this period of time, of course. Definitely the sports is evolving, and we'll see a lot of number being broken soon. Now, why do I think Conor has the edge this time to beat Nate Diaz? Well, it's simple. Conor underestimated Nate and he thought he can knock him out, which is very odd because who knocks out the Diaz brothers? I mean, I've never seen any of them get knocked out. Technical knockout does happen, but it rarely ever happens to them. I mean, most of the losses comes by decisions. I mean, look at Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz fought probably the greatest 3 fighters of all time. GSP, Anderson Silva, BJ Penn. I mean, and he keeps coming after people. Him and Nate, they have the same style. They keep coming after you. Yes, they sometimes take steps back, like Nate wasn't the aggressor, but he waited for the right moment and he took his shot, and he absolutely dominated Conor for the last couple of minutes of the second round until he submitted him. Now, let's talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There was 3 clinches in Conor versus Nate. Twice Conor was able to take control over and was able to get out. Nate tried to take him down in the first round, if you remember, and Conor ended up on top, giving him a beating. And the first round ended with Conor being on top on the ground. So don't doubt Conor's ground game. It's not as good as Diaz, I'm not going to argue that. Definitely Diaz is on a different level, but still he can hang in with him. I mean, he was dominating him on the ground in the first takedown. The second takedown, he was hurt so bad. He was a couple of punches away from getting knocked the hell out. So he shoots to the ground. He couldn't take his breath. He was hurt. He was tired. So obviously Nate Diaz dominated him because of the circumstances, not because Conor is bad at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or he's bad at wrestling. I think he's an average wrestler. He's very good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and he's great at stand-up. His head movement was phenomenal in the first round, and especially the first half of the second round. But he needs to realize that he's not with Ido Portal in the park and he's just getting away from a sponge. He's actually getting away from a guy who can hit and can hit hard. I mean, for God's sake, Nate Diaz spars with probably the greatest boxer right now alive, Andre Ward. And the only guy who has a chance to actually beat Floyd Mayweather, which is Andre Ward. So yeah, Conor, his way walking up to the octagon, he looked like he was having fun. As I mentioned before, the capoeira kick did not land. He kept insisting on doing it. He was in there to show off, and when he tried to end the fight and knock him out, it wasn't working well for him. And I still do believe that Nate was a lot heavier than him the fight night. I mean, in the weigh-ins, for sure, there was 1 pound difference, but fight night, Conor looked a little bit lighter. Then he looked about 166 pounds. Nate Diaz looked about 178 plus, to be honest. So yeah, there's a lot of differences there. I think Conor, the second fight will be way different. Conor would not underestimate him this time. And the thing is about Conor, guys, and this is something that I can tell you for sure because I went through it before. When I was in the 5th grade, I was playing football. I was a football player because in England, football is, you know, it's the #1 sport. There's nothing come pretty much next to it. And at my private school, we had 10 classes for year 5. 10 different classes. Each class has a certain amount of boys and girls. In my class, we had 6 boys, and there's a tournament that goes on between the 10 classes in football, and they pick only 5 players to play, 4 on the field and 1 on the goal. And it's just, you know, I was never picked at the age of 5, at year 5. And then I showed no talent, nothing whatsoever. And then I got so determined and I told them, and they laughed at me. I will come back after this summer vacation in year 6 and I'm gonna be the best and no one will be even close to me. I came back, I worked out every single day, I trained every single day, I watched football games, I analyzed movement. I did that 12 hours from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep. I eat, breathe and sleep football. I came back, I wasn't just the best player at my class. I wasn't just the best player at my school, I was the best player at my age, period. This is obsession. This is what Conor was talking about. And this loss, he's definitely gonna obsess over and he's definitely gonna work so damn hard. So, most people are saying Nate with a full training camp will destroy him. No, rethink that. Because this guy doesn't go down easy. He's obsessed and he's not going to give up that easy. When it comes to the tapping out, we all know he's got the chicken instinct. I don't know if he can actually fix that, but still, I mean, he can get out of holds before it happened to him. Look at Chad Mendes, twice tried to put him in a hold and failed. I mean, on his way trying, he could see it. And he can see stuff before they happen, which will play a big role this time when he does not underestimate Nate. I still hope this fight does not happen. I still think Frankie Edgar should get his money shot because he worked so damn hard for it. Should be Frankie Edgar and Conor McGregor headlining UFC 200. But definitely the fight that will make more money is the rematch with Nate Diaz and to redeem Conor, because let's face it, Dana White and Lorenzo, and Frank, they want Conor to beat Diaz again because Conor is their golden boy. I mean, Conor brings more money than Ronda Rousey, Paige Van Zandt, and who's the other guy? Sage Northcutt. These 4 guys were Dana's White golden boys. Paige Van Zandt's just coming up. Sage Northcutt, same thing, and Ronda and Conor on the top. And now, yeah, and the thing is, with Conor, he can't actually do that. Dana White can save the face of the company, Conor McGregor, but with Ronda Rousey, really, I mean, she got dominated by Holly Holm. There was no, like, it wasn't even a close fight. I mean, if I was scoring the round, if the fight ended by decision, I was scoring just on 2 rounds, I would probably give both rounds a 10-8 round to Holly Holm. So yeah, so this is it, guys. Again, don't underestimate Conor. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's very good. And so I'm not the only one saying that. People who are legends in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu also agree with me. So yeah, as I said also before the fight, I didn't make a prediction for the first fight, but I did say this. The only way I can see Nate winning the fight is by submission. It's going to be the same thing for the next fight. The only way I see Nate winning the fight is by submission. But I really think Conor would surprise everyone. he will come in a lot stronger, a lot faster. I mean, come on, the guy went up to 170 in 11 days. And let's be honest, Nate Diaz performs better when he's just called down out of the blues. It's not the first time that Nate Diaz steps in on a very short notice and win. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for all the comments and the likes for my UFC 200 video. Amazing, it's getting a lot of views, and yeah, hope you have a good one, and have a nice day.